how do I build confidence in my child, and what are the kind of mistakes that I can allow my child to make? A very commonly asked question by parents. I am Riri Trivedi. I am a regression therapist, a parenting coach, and in today's video I am going to be talking about the fourth guideline of positive parenting, which is allowing children to make mistakes and encouraging a problem solving approach. First, just like accepting your child the way he or she is one side of the coin, the other side of the coin is, of course, allowing your child to make mistakes and learn from it. If you haven't seen the earlier 3 guidelines of positive parenting, please do see those videos, because today we are going to talk about the 4th guideline, which is allowing mistakes. Why is it important for us to allow our children to make mistakes? One is because mistakes are the biggest teachers. When children are given the freedom to make mistakes, they do not live under the constant pressure and stress of always being right. As parents, it is extremely difficult for us to see our children fail and fall. In fact, most of the time it is our own insecurity and fears that makes us extremely protective over our children. So many parents end up becoming helicopter parents because they cannot deal with the fact that their child is failing or falling down or getting hurt or doing something wrong. These parents are anxious, overcautious, and they are always 2 steps ahead of their child, because they actually want to preempt when the child is going to make a mistake, warn the child and not allow the child to make those mistakes, so that the child doesn't get hurt, the child doesn't fail, the child doesn't fall, and there are no complaints, etc. Parents think that this is good, but unfortunately this is not healthy for the children. When children are allowed to make mistakes, remember that there is a lot of things they can learn from those mistakes. When children make mistakes, there are 2 things that happen. Either they are made to feel ashamed. Oh my God, you are always doing this. You are such a useless kid. You never learn from your mistakes. You are always dropping your food. You are always, missing your homework. And the other way is when a child is asked by the parents, okay, well, you made a mistake, but what did you learn from it? How do you feel about this experience? And what would you like to do differently if you didn't like this feeling? Both the approaches are different. In the first approach, the child grows up with toxic shame, with a lot of fear. And the child feels that there's something wrong with me. If you haven't seen my videos on toxic shame and toxic fear, please do see the videos. They are available on YouTube. Whenever a child is not allowed to make mistakes, or if a child has made a mistake and the parents are overly critical about it, makes the child feel humiliated and shamed, then the child develops toxic shame and fear. A child growing up in toxic shame and fear can be extremely anxious, hyper-vigilant, very, very stressed out, or very, very critical, and may become a perfectionist. There's nothing wrong in that, but this will not help your child to be confident. It will not help your child to explore things out of the ordinary. It will not help your child to think out of the box. And it will not even help your child to take any risks in life, right? So allowing your child to make mistakes will also help them develop problem solving skills. And parents need to learn to step back, not always be there to solve the problems of their children. Let me share one example from my own life. So my son, he got 1 out of 20 in maths when he was in 10th standard, and the principal called us. When we went there, of course, the principal shouted at him and scolded him and made him feel, terrible about what he did. As parents, we were also quite shocked, because we had not put any pressure on him. We never punished him for marks. So I was wondering, why did he have to change his marks and why did he do this? I asked him that and he had no answer. Now, this was a mistake he made. The way I handled it was, on the way back home, all I asked him was, how did you feel about this? When you were sitting in the principal's office and there were tears coming down your face, what was your feeling? And he said, Mom, I felt ashamed of myself. That was it. The conversation ended there, because for me, the lesson was learned. And after that, he never did that again. But instead of that, if I had said, oh my God, how could you do this? You are ashamed to us and we are so forthright and honest, and being my son, how could you have done this? It would not have helped him either feel ashamed. In fact, he would have become probably more defensive, more angry, or he would have felt toxic shame, whereby you would have felt, I'm a problem, I'm flawed, and there's something wrong with me. So remember, when your children make mistakes, mistakes are a part of growing up. When they are born, they do not have the understanding of what is right and wrong. So they will try all kinds of things. They will try to do things that are wrong, that are not appropriate. But how you handle it as parents is extremely important. when you make your child understand that this is a mistake, and when you make your child reflect upon that mistake, and also make your child think about what could be done differently, what was done wrong, what were the implications, you are encouraging your child to use the upper brain. See the video on engage versus enrage, where I have spoken of the upper and lower brain. So when you ask such questions, when you ask your child to reflect upon their mistakes, you are allowing them to engage their upper brain, which gives them the problem solving ability, and it also encourages them to think rationally. So how you handle mistakes is also a very important part of parenting. When you want to develop problem solving approach in your child, first is allow them to have problems in their life. If there is a problem, say the child has not done the homework and the teacher has sent a note, it is a problem. It is good to ask the child that, okay, do you think this is a problem? First of all, understand whether does the child think this is a problem. If the child doesn't think it is a problem, then you need to start there by explaining to the child why he or she has to do homework, why it is important to do things regularly. After that, it is important to ask the child what he learned from that experience, what is he feeling about it, and what are the different solutions to overcome that. So if the child did not finish homework because he didn't have time, let the child come up with solutions about it. If the child did not do homework because he just wanted to try out what the teacher does, let the child understand and let the child figure out whether he wants to continue with that behavior or do it differently. So remember that when you have conversations with your children, ask them questions, open-ended questions, ask them about their feelings, ask them to think of alternatives, you are teaching them a problem-solving approach. If the child has, say, spilled milk on the floor and the child is continuing to spill every time and very sloppy, don't say that you are sloppy. Instead say, okay, I see that we've spilled milk, let's first clean it up. And then let's figure out what we can do so that you don't keep spilling the milk all the time. Let the child come up with solutions. This is the best way your children will develop problem-solving approach. For this, as parents, we need to have patience, we need to be self-regulated, and we need to understand that you will not be able to teach your children everything at one go. Their brains are developing and they are not fully developed as your adult brain. They do not understand no, they do not understand the consequences of their actions when they are young. So you will have to repeatedly reinforce what you want to teach them once, twice, 10 times. Keep repeating, keep encouraging positive behaviors, be patient, and that is how their brain will develop and the brain will learn. Remember, two children will not be the same. My son used to keep making these mistakes at school. He used to be called for stealing lemon, he used to be called up for taking the phone to school, and he did all things that were not allowed. Versus that, my daughter never got called for that. She was always the good child. Again, do not compare. Two children will not be alike ever. You will always have one child who will always do things that he or she is not supposed to do, and that is fine. It's a part of growing up. Do not encourage that behavior, but do not make the child feel flawed, because you will have a child who will want to break all the rules. Try to understand why and try to find solutions towards it. Remember, what they are doing at 5 and 10, they will not do the same things when they are 15 and 20, provided that you have been patiently dealing with them and constantly teaching them how to solve the problems themselves. When we are constantly overcorrecting our children, so when we are constantly nagging the child and trying to describe and prescribe everything that the child has to do, then again the child is not learning how to solve the problem. So for example, if the child is struggling with how to fold the clothes, don't jump in to fold the clothes. If the child is struggling with a fight he or she had with a friend, don't jump in to solve the fight. If the child is struggling to eat food, then don't jump in to feed the child. Let the child struggle, let the child learn, because that is the only way the child is going to develop the neural pathways on how to do the things that he or she needs to do. If the child has failed, fallen, or made a mistake, the only thing you need to focus on is what have I learned from it and what can I do differently. And that is the only way that you will teach the children how to think and come out of the problems. Remember, a child who has never failed in life, who has never made a mistakes, is either a child who will now fall down and break down at the very first mistake that he or she will make as an adult, which may have very severe consequences, or it will be a child who will completely break down at the first failure because the child has no past experience of learning to come out from a failure. So I would always encourage parents that when the children are young, let them fail, let them fall, because then they have the memory of having come out of it. But the mistakes and the failures and falls that they encounter as adults may be much more severe with much bigger consequences. And if they don't have any skill set of dealing with it or coming out of it, they will have much bigger falls and much bigger setbacks. So teaching your children early on to fall and fail and make mistakes is a great parenting skill. As parents, just work on yourselves, take deep breaths and watch your child fall sometimes. That really is helpful. I hope this video was useful. Do write in your comments what are the different mistakes you have made in your life as a child, and how did your parents deal with your mistakes, and as a parent, what have you been allowing your child to do and learn from. So watch out this space, subscribe to my channel if you like my videos, because I will be continuing to share more and more content on positive parenting, guidelines as well as tips for raising children in a happy, healthy, empowered way. Happy parenting.